What is up, everybody? This is number 2 on the training out of 3 videos that I'm shooting for you. Um, I hope you enjoyed the last one. There's a lot of knowledge in there. There's a lot of things to unpack. Um, and I hope you got a lot out of it. I really do. Um, Hopefully the messages are rolling in. And listen, at the end of the day, I'm just here to help you out as best I possibly can. I've just gained so much knowledge over the years, and it's just been a pleasure to be able to give back to, in reality, like social media, although I wasn't always using it for the best purposes years ago, has given me so much. I've met a lot of coaches, a lot of people. I've had opportunities to work with some of the best people in the game, and it really helped me change my life. So what better way to give back than to the community that I'm trying to build and all of you who have spent time in here and have been trying to give back to me. So I want to do my best to give back to you. In this video, what I wanted to talk to you about is the difference between family of choice and then blood family, right? So your family of origin, maybe a better way to put it. But the truth of the matter is, like, there's so many cliches out there, right? Like you've all probably come across this in your own paths that, they always say blood is thicker than water and all these sayings that we grew up with. But I honestly tell you from the bottom of my heart that I think it's a bunch of bullshit. Now, I have good relationships with certain family members, but I don't have good relations with every family member. And what was taught to me that was so important, because I think we all grow up believing that our family that we were born into is like this thing that you have to constantly work towards making it work, or you have to have relationship with people just because there's a blood relation. And I'll be the first one to tell you that can be furthest from the truth. Because in a lot of your lives, and I know in mine, what can end up happening is the people that are in our lives that either gave birth to us or had a hand in our birth or are in our families have done probably some of the worst damage to us than anybody else we've ever come across. And so now having that knowledge and then struggling with the thought process of thinking to yourself, well, I have to make this work, or I have to spend time with these people, or I have to go on this vacation, or I have to go to this family reunion. No. And, piggybacking off the last video, which was about becoming the CEO of yourself, right, is that mental clarity. And in a lot of cases, if you think about your mental clarity and how important that is to you, right, or how important it is to you to be whole up here, one of the biggest hurdles that most of us go through are the relationships that we have, or had for that matter, right? And I'm a prime example. Um, I'm somebody that was out on my own at a very young age. I was about 17 or 18 years old. I was pretty much right out of high school, and I was kicked out of my house. That was family that did that to me. That's like some of the most important people that are supposed to be the most influential people in my life put me out on the street. So I tell you this because I want you. We're going to try to what I'm trying to accomplish here is kind of rewiring your thinking a little bit, because we're all being led to believe through one avenue or another that having your blood relatives in your life is this super impactful thing that you have to do. Well, I actually would tend to lean in opposite direction. If this person or people have wronged you, why do I have to spend time with them? Why do I have to make a relationship with them? Now, on the flip side, I do want to preface this by saying that if you are in a situation where a bridge can be mended and that's something you want to do, well, I still implore you to do that. I've done that in my own life, but I've used the tools that I've learned that I'm going to teach and that I'm teaching to help me over those hurdles, right? So, but in some situations, things can't be fixed, things can't be mended, and all it's doing is causing you more heartache and more pain and more frustration. So why would you want to live your life like that? The reality is, as cliche as this sounds, is like we do only get one chance at this, right? You know, it's funny that people always say YOLO, and then people say, well, you die one time, but you live every day. I mean, all that shit is true, and this is not a video based off cliches, but the truth of the matter is we don't have a lot of time on this earth, man. And if you break down the amount of time that you have to operate at your very best. And again, you know, I said before, and I'll say it again, like, this is not about business. It's not always about money. This is about living your best life, or whatever that looks like for you. There are some people that don't want to run a business. There are some people that don't want to make a lot of money. There are some people that want to live their life how they want to live it. But how do you take control of that? And so when we talk about family of choice over family of origin, what I've come to learn is some of the best relationships and the most impactful relationships I've had in my life don't come from people that are my blood. Now, I am grateful that I have a brother who I connect with on a deep level, and he's full blood, but that's not for everybody, you know. But the majority of my family members, we barely have connection, you know. And my biggest connections, my biggest driving force in my life are my people, are my friends, is the ecosystem that I've built, because I realized that I needed positivity and not negativity in my life. So if there's one big thing I can teach you, is that in this situation, what you probably want to do is you could probably column out pros and cons and negatives and positives in both these situations. And I would have you write out a list of each family member that has impact on you, because there are some we just don't have connection with. So they're, I don't want to say they're irrelevant, but as far as this conversation is concerned, they're fairly irrelevant. And I would ask you to write down all their names, and then I want you to write down the pros and cons, right? I want you to, what positives are they bringing to your life and what negatives they're bringing to your life. And in a lot of cases, you're going to find that the negatives outweigh the positives. So then you have to ask yourself, well, now is when the retraining of your brain comes in, right? Now you have to think to yourself, like, shit, you know, this person's been in my life. Like, let's just use this as an example, because this is probably the hardest one, right? Like, we all have a mother at some point or another. There is a woman in your life that gave birth to you. Now, I know there's circumstances that change that, so I don't want to make blanket statements for everybody, but the truth is, most of us have a mother, and that was a very sore point for me. We had a very strained relationship, a lot of problems, and I had to do without her. I had to put her to the back burner. Now, we have since fixed our relationship and worked on it using the tools that I've learned, but for years I had dealt with bullshit, and then I finally realized, like, going through the process that I'm trying to share with you guys, that I don't need that in my life. Yeah, she gave birth to me. I appreciate that, right? I have appreciation for her and for other people. But doesn't mean I have to have a relationship. No one is beholden to anything. You are not held down to have relationships with people you don't feel comfortable having relationships with, people that are drawing negativity from your life. And that's really the gist of this whole thing. Now, you know, I'm leaning more towards the family of origin because I feel like that's more of a pain point. Now, don't get me wrong. On the other hand, there are friends that have negative impact on you too. But more times than not, that's usually just a falling out than anything else. Or, you know, there's on the growth chart, you're moving at this pace and they're staying on the same level, and eventually you just outgrow each other. But I've definitely had many different groups of friends over the years, and I've had to do pretty much the same thing. You have to start auditing your circles. You have to start understanding who's bringing positive light and who's bringing positive vibes into your life, who's doing things with their life, who isn't. You know, we always talk about in my groups, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard this said, but like, you're the sum of the 5 people you spend your time around. So if you spend your time around 5 people that are draining the life out of you, guess what? You're going to be living a very mediocre life. But now, if you flip that over and you start spending time with 5 people that are crushing, that are living their best life. Now, again, it's not always about business, not always about money. But if I was to say to you, you're going to hang out with 5 people that are absolutely crushing it, and you're going to be the 6th. I mean, that's just the way it works. That's the way the math works. That's the way it works. That's just because you're surrounded by it. So how could you not become that? So the biggest action item I want you to take away from this particular video is column out family, friends, and pros and cons, positives, negatives, all those things. Take the time. It won't take you very long. You know, don't go into crazy depth. You don't have to make yourself crazy writing every situation ever happened to you. You don't have to do that. Just small little items, small little pain points that you realize in your life. Because what you don't understand is all these things are clouding your mind. So what we're trying to do here is, in taking back our life and taking back our power, we have to now clear out the junk, so to speak. You know, you'll hear me say a lot that I equate a lot of this work that I like to do and a lot of things that I like to teach to a suitcase, right? So if you were to look at a suitcase as the baggage in your life, right? Well, if you have the suitcase full to the point where you have to kneel on top of it just to zipper it, that bitch is going to be heavy. And you're going to be carrying that thing around with you everywhere you go. And that weight will eventually catch up to you. And that's exactly what some of you are probably feeling right now. And it's something that I've experienced. And it becomes so overwhelming to the point that we don't know what to do. And some of us break down. I've had many breakdowns in my life. So what I end up having to do, and part of these videos that we're doing and part of this conversation, is now slowly unpacking. We open up that zipper, we take out a pair of pants, we take out a t-shirt, we take out the excess stuff that doesn't need to be there. So if you were to think about it, imagine carrying an empty suitcase compared to carrying a full suitcase, right? It's a lot lighter, a lot easier to carry around. Eventually we just get rid of the suitcase altogether. And that's the plan here. So, you know, take these action items that I'm teaching you, man. I'm telling you, this stuff is free. You know, there's nothing else involved. You just gotta watch these and just use the tools that I'm giving you. And I guarantee, listen, is it gonna change everything in your life overnight? No, you have to work. All of this is work. But these are the small action items you can take right away to start unpacking some of these bags. We gotta start lightening up the load. We gotta start lightening up that suitcase and what we're carrying around, which is our mind. It's real heavy, you know? Yeah, it's nice to have big shoulders and strong neck muscles, but nobody wants to carry that weight around. So listen, if you got something out of this video, please fill out the application below. I'll send out an email to you and see where we can take this thing further. I'll have some other items on the site that you can take a look at. And I hope you're getting a lot from this, man. I'm going to be coming up with a third video real soon, and keep your eyes open, keep your eyes peeled. In the meantime, you know, share your stuff in here. Don't be afraid to reach out to me anytime you need something. Shoot me a message, whatever, and we'll get things moving. Have an amazing day. Enjoy.